All right. So a little neat trick that I like to show people here, I know we've talked about it before, is that you can obviously open your instruments just by clicking on them like this. But you can also grab them with your grip button right from the menu. And then you'll be holding them right away, and they'll end up in like a nice position for you to position them out.
That is really neat.
So especially if you've lost your instruments like down here somewhere, because if you just open them, they end up in the last place they were in. But if you grab them, you will get them in your hand instead.
That is actually very helpful.
So our latest feature that we've been working on is the songs library. And I know we've been talking a lot these last days about having a bit of a discoverability issue in the songs library because people have been sharing so many songs.
It's so cool.
Yeah, so like already you can just go through pages and pages of songs in here. So we definitely need to start working on some kind of, I don't know, some kind of news feed or front page for this eventually. Maybe have some preferences.
Genres.
Yeah, exactly. Just based on tags or whatever. We do have the possibility to sort by most popular, but like the algorithm for that is still kind of basic, I guess. So yeah, right now it's mostly based on volume. So, but there are a few songs here that have gotten quite a few downloads and shares. Oh wow, that was loud. Don't listen to this. It's just yelling. Okay, yeah. Yeah, so that was actually one of the latest things we implemented was this volume slider here, just for that specific case.
That brings me back to like sleepovers when you were a kid and you tried to like sneakily turn on the TV and it just blared.
Yeah.
It's a little that feeling.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, there are some cute ones here for sure. Blinding lights with terrible voiceover. Maybe we'll skip that one. Yeah, so lots of nice little songs here that people have been sharing. One thing that I've been wanting to do actually is to take some community song and like try to remix it a little bit.
Yeah.
So and I mean this is maybe this is nice just to have a starting point from drums.
Yeah, who made it?
So this is Bass Monster by Irreverent Beast. So let's load it up.
Because this is a great way to use the song library, really.
Yeah, exactly. So this one just contains like a couple of MPAD tracks. And they've also been like setting up the instruments around them. I'm just gonna go ahead and close down the instrument so I can do my own setup. But it's nice to have like a starting point for drums. You can reset the loop recording button here. And it seems like they've picked some sounds here as well for the board. And this is set to tempo sync 1/4, so it's kind of, even if I spam the buttons here, it just like plays very slowly. So I'm gonna go ahead and set this up to 1/16 instead.
I almost got a little bit of the Little Mermaid vibes there.
Yeah. Right? That's the one, right? I think so.
Yeah.
I want to try to do something with this sound. One thing that I usually do is just turn on the arpeggiator. And that sort of makes the sound keep playing on whatever this tempo is set to. So here it's 2/16. So twice the tempo.
Oh.
And also here you can kind of hear that it plays different notes, 4 different notes. So it plays it in octaves here, 4 different octaves. So I'm gonna turn it down to 1 and it will only play the same note. So I could do something with that maybe. And then there's this length setting here, which kind of determines how long each of these notes are. So you can get it to be very short or kind of long. I'm gonna experiment a little bit with the echo here and the feedback.
Oh, that's cool.
So I'm gonna try to do a loop out of this. And I think this is a very, very slow tempo, probably like 60. 76, okay. So I'm gonna need to set this loop length to like 2, I think. Yeah, looks about right. I'll turn this up a little bit. And it was too short. It should have been twice as long. I should have looked at this this thing, because now you can actually see when you start recording how long the loop is. So if I can see when it's supposed to end. I'm pretty happy with that. So maybe let's add some chords to this. Whoa, right. So here I'm gonna need to use my trick to grab it out instead, to get it in front of me.
Oh yeah.
And this one is also set to 1/4. And here I don't want to have the arpeggiator on, I just want it to be some different sounds. So this is actually an interesting challenge that I'm discovering just now, because this is the first time I'm trying to remix someone else's song. But obviously all of the instrument settings are kind of saved into the song. So I'm kind of used to the defaults. So like it being set to a specific sound and a specific octave, and like the arpeggiator being on or off. But now I have to kind of check what they've been playing with here.
Yeah.
I'll probably be able to do something.
Oh yeah, the song that you're trying to remix right now,
Yeah,
it already fell out of my brain what it was called, but it's a basically empads only bass track.
yeah, exactly.
Um,
So it's yeah, we opened a song from someone else in the community. Can check again who it was. So this was I think it was
it was Mr. Beast something.
yeah, we've already lost it. Oh, here it is, Bass Monster by Reverend Beast.
There it is.
Yeah, so it just included this this MPAD group here. So it sounds like this, and now we're trying to make, I guess, remix it a bit, adding some more tracks to it.
Yeah, because this was one of the initial thoughts behind having the song library, so that people could try and collaborate a bit more.
So for those who don't know how the cluster works, it plays chords, and depending on how high up on the cluster you play, the chords kind of get more wide or more narrow in how close together the notes are. So up here you get like very open sounding chords. They're usually very sort of, I would describe them as consonant. And they usually go very well with pretty much anything that you're playing in this key. Down here it's going to be a bit more like difficult to get it to fit in, but also perhaps cooler in some ways, because the chords are tighter together. So I'm gonna just try to record something and we'll see how it goes. If I'm not happy, I'll just re-record it.
Yeah, go for it. That's the beauty of Virtuoso.
Start. I realize I have tempo sync on as well, so that's sort of messing up my rhythm a bit. So I'm gonna restart again without it. We'll stick with that for now. We can maybe do something else with it later. So I guess for me it feels like this is really lacking some kind of bass line right now.
Yeah.
So I'll just bring up the board. And I usually like to play, for bass lines I usually really like the super saw. And I could just play pretty much the same line that I played before, because it's kind of a bass line, just I play it further down. So it's and to make it a bit more interesting, I'm gonna kind of use my left hand to tilt the filtering a bit during it. I'm also gonna make it twice as long. So I record it twice, but like slide a bit up and down on the filtering to give it a bit more variation. And for bass, I usually like to pull down the echo, like way down, because it usually gets a bit messy when you're low down in the frequencies. So having very little echo there helps to kind of make it more crisp and clear. So let's try this. So for me, I like to add some more drums to this. I like the drums that are there, but I think we can fill them out a bit more. Maybe some hi-hat.
Yeah, I was thinking.
I like this one. Make it a shorter loop. Pretty happy with that. Let's add a crash to the end. So I basically just added one crash to the end of this 4-bar loop. And we can sort of do a fill before that. And so I'll take out like this series of tones here, tone 1, 2, and 3, and I'll just pull them out. And record. Clean them up. Maybe find some fun effect sounds. Maybe a bit of this. Mixed with this. And I think maybe adding a bigger bass drum for this as well would be nice. We could try just like a straight 4/4 drum beat, just to see how that feels. So take the shortest amount that I can have here. And since this song is set in such a slow tempo, I'll still need to record 2 beats. And maybe top it off with some nice melody on the organ.
Chat says you're playing too well for them to come up with questions.
I'm sorry.
You have to play Virtuoso's worse.
I can play a worse song next.
No, the chat says no. That's
okay.
Not what they want.
I kind of like this song because it sort of pierces the mix. You can kind of hear it over the mix. So let's try to do something fun with the effects on this. So I'll pull this feedback setting around a bit. I'm gonna lower the volume a little bit while I'm talking. I'm gonna pull this feedback volume around a bit to find like a good piercing sound for it, but that isn't too... This is kind of cool. And then add like a lot of echo and reverb to it. So push it a little bit back to get more reverb, and a bit like up and to the right to get more echo. And I feel like the echo doesn't really fit into it. It's too slow, so I'm just gonna push it all the way down and just use the reverb, so like pushing it in the depth axis here. And then what I like to do is we can set this to a high number like 32. And then I'm just kind of spamming the trigger buttons here. And let's record like a slightly longer loop, maybe 16 bars. That's quite long, but let's go for it.
Alright.
Yeah?
Just asking if using the arpeggiator and spamming, like, doesn't that give a similar effect?
Yeah, so let's see. If I turn on the arpeggiator, I can set that to 132 as well. So if we mute this latest one that we did. Yeah, you can get the exact same effect. Except, I guess the one difference is that it's with the arpeggiator, it's gonna be super even. Like it's playing exactly on the notes all the time. If you listen to this one, it has a bit more like a random rhythm in it, but it's still in rhythm, but it's a bit funkier, I think. But yeah, for sure, if you don't want to spam it, you can just turn on the arpeggiator to the same value and just like hold the button. Basically what I'm doing now is just I'm holding all three buttons on both controllers and mashing them back and forth. It looks advanced, but it's not that difficult.
Control chaos.
Let's turn this down a little bit so it blends better into the mix. And yeah, I think it's a song.
Yeah. Just feels like some kind of rave.
Yeah. So I'm gonna save a new version of this song. So So I'll bring up the song library, which is somewhere behind me here. I'm gonna save as. And I'll call it Bass Monster Jonatan Jam.
The remix.
Yeah. Can even do it in parentheses and everything. Save it to cloud, share with community, and let's save.
This is great because we got a question in the chat.
Yeah.
If we have any plans to use the, let's see if I can get this right. Do we have any plans to use the analog capacity of the trigger and grip buttons to control attributes?
Yes, that is a very good question, and we do. It's kind of longer term plans. So one of the things that we are talking about doing up ahead, we don't know if it will be before release, possibly it will be after the official release, is to sort of expose more control over the different parameters that you have. So for example, if we bring up the organ here, and you have these effect settings, maybe you want to control like the length of the arpeggiator, for example. So one of the things that we've been talking about doing is that you want to be able to bind this specific slider to something with the controllers. So either you could bind this to like the tilt, like we're doing now, or you could bind it to like how much you're holding down the trigger button, for example. So yeah, we do have the capacity to like get how far you're pushing down the triggers, and also how far you're pushing down the grip buttons. It's not super sensitive or super like high precision, but it could definitely be used to control something like this. So as an example, if you're playing, maybe you're playing in the wavemin and you have your Wampet sound, your favorite whale sound / fart noises.
Yep, that's the one.
And maybe you're turning on the arpeggiator for this. And then you kind of want to push the trigger down and up to control the length. Then we could do that. So for example, allow you to bind that to the trigger, or bind it to how much you're tilting your hands, or maybe how far to the left or right you're holding your hand in the wavemin, etc. It's quite a big change for us to do. Like we will have to go in and do some major work on the entire input system, basically. So right now we're just trying to make everything as simple and accessible as possible for everyone. But once we have like a community going, and maybe when we're out on the store, we'll also start developing more in-depth tools for the power users, I think.
Pro.
I can see that Glitchug is very happy with this.
Yeah. Yeah, I also had a question on the Discord, which is if we have any plans on implementing like a playable kick drum and hi-hats with trigger buttons.
Yeah, so that's also one of the things that I suppose that system could do. So, for example, if you have the M pads and you have your bass drum here, maybe there could be a setting on the M pad for how you would like to bind this thing here. Like, would you just like to bind it to being that you slam on this pad, or would you like to bind it to pressing a specific button, perhaps? And I guess on Windows and like for Rift and SteamVR, what we could do is also allow you to bind those to like keyboard buttons or buttons that are not specifically VR things. And then if you have some kind of external controller like a pedal, you could probably quite easily set that up to trigger a specific keyboard button. And then in your drum setup, you could use that. But like I said, this is future features. We're not even currently planning to have these ready before release. But it's definitely on like the long-term roadmap for where we want to take Virtuoso.
Yeah. We also had a question if we're going to do like support for USB and Bluetooth pedals.
Yeah, and I guess that's the same thing. That basically the way you would control it would probably be that you set your pedal up to control a keyboard button, and then that one in turn is something that you can bind in Virtuoso. I don't know if there's anything like that available for the Quest yet. I guess it would have to be some kind of Bluetooth input. I think that's going to be a bit more difficult. I know you can connect like a Bluetooth keyboard. Yeah, I don't know. It's something we would have to look at. For Windows, that's going to be easier, most definitely. But I'm also kind of expecting that most of the sort of the power users that want kind of those things, even if they have a Quest, they might also have a PC that they can connect their Quest to when they want to play like with pedals and other external peripherals.
Cool.
Oh, Paradiddle supports Bluetooth pedals on Quest. Yeah, okay, there you go. So it's possible.
We'll have to give them a call.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. It hasn't, to be honest, it hasn't been like our top priority. We're not specifically trying to compete with like Paradiddle on making the best drum kit simulator. As you might know, like the drum sounds are kind of basic still. There is, of course, a lot of things that we could do to improve on that. But for now, we're kind of trying to focus our attention very, very broadly on making this like a very fun and accessible experience for everyone, and just a great way to create music with all of the different instruments.
Yeah. It's a good starting point.
Yeah. But there's just so much stuff that I would love to do with with Virtuoso, and I'm sure everyone else in the team feels the same way. But there's just too many things. So it's hopefully gonna be like a never-ending project. It's just gonna keep going for a while.
Yeah, there's definitely potential for so many things. So as long as people are excited.
So one thing I like to do when I'm just like trying to think of a new song or something new to play, I like to randomize the scale inside of the track setting to just try to get some new sound to play with. And as you can hear, when I'm playing like up here at the top, it's very easy to get it to sound very kind of smooth and nice. If I was playing the same notes down here, it would be more dissonant, more harsh, but maybe cool. And this doesn't work very well, as you can hear. And there's a music theory explanation for this. I'm very low down here, so I'm basically playing bass notes. And when you're playing bass notes or notes that are very far down, they need to be very consonant. They can't be dissonant. If they're dissonant, like if they're very close together, um, they muddle each other a lot. It works a lot better if I bring this up, do the same thing, but I bring it up 4 octaves. Or 3 octaves. Here you can more clearly hear the individual notes, and it, even though it still sounds dissonant, it sounds nicer than when you're down here and trying to play this. It just gets very difficult to kind of hear what's going on. So typically for the cluster, if I'm playing low down, like in a low octave or low down on the cluster, I try to play high up on it. And if I want to play down here, I typically try to bring it up a little bit. Another fun trick that you can do with the cluster is to bring up the effects panel and turn on the arpeggiator, because the cluster will kind of play through its chord, but in an arpeggiated progression. So it will play the tones that it's supposed to play, but it will do them after each other. So this is a nice way to get like an arpeggiated chord progression, I guess. So what we could do here is we could, if I turn on the manual BPM and set a beat, we do a fairly slow beat, like 95 maybe. And we turn this on to 1/4, so it's in sync. So I think let's bring up the looper and record this specifically. I think that would be kind of cool. And each of these notes, I played 4 notes in a progression here. I can see that each of these took 4 of these blips to complete. So 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So each 4 of these is 1 bar or 1 in the loop lengths. So if I want to play that progression, I'm going to set this to 4. Let's do this. And now we've got like a loop around that. So let's do something with the board, some basic things maybe. I like these first two notes, but I wasn't too fond of this third one, so maybe we'll try to find something different. Didn't like that either. That was better. And I feel like this is something that you could just play like some nice slow solo, probably with the lush lead, and just like a lot of echo and reverb on it. Maybe some cool feedback. Oh, and I had the Arpeggiator on. It's kind of cool, but not what I wanted. Might be a bit too much reverb actually, because it's kind of hard to hear the lead, so I'm going to pull it back a little bit. Let's record something with that. I kind of like that. But probably a bit of a longer loop. Thank you.
The chat is all quiet because it's just pretty to listen to.
So I think let's do it just twice the length of this other part that I've been doing, so it doesn't take so long if I mess up. was nice, but I'm not happy with the ending, so I'm just gonna record it once more. It's better. Maybe we should do something with the wave min. Right, and here you actually need to re-enter your hand into the wave min for it to start recording. So, something we should maybe do something about in the future. So basically, just to walk through what I did there, I set the echo quite high, so that's high up to the right, but not without so much depth to it, so it doesn't sound too reverby. It's kind of hard to describe. And then I just set it to use the arpeggiator at a very, very high number, so it's just spamming the notes basically. And I pull this feedback down far down to the left, close to me, which gives it a bit of like a distorted edge. And then I could play with the like the tilt to get it to feedback a lot or a little. So this is what it sounds like on its own. Maybe some harp for this. Also very echoey. I think would go well with this kind of slow and ambient type of sound. So far back and to the right. And maybe it can just come like at a specific place, like at the end of the loop. There could be like a sweep of this. So let's do that. became more in the beginning of the loop than the end. Maybe that's cool. I think I want that kind of all over the place, but only like the highest notes. Maybe we bring it up an octave. There we go. Pull down the wave min fluttering a little bit. It's a bit too much, maybe. And I guess we could add some drums to this as well. Here I kind of wish that we had some reverb for the drums. We're talking a lot about how to implement more effects for the tracks and also for the drums. It is coming eventually. But it's just something that we need to get really right, both from a UI perspective, but also from a performance perspective, because having effects on is expensive for the Quest to do. So we need to be careful about how we implement it, so we don't add too much stuff and then it's hard to scale it back later when people want to do advanced things. But just having some reverb for the drums is something that I would love in the future. Maybe we could do like a heartbeat style bass drum.
Oh, that would be nice.
Let's do... We could maybe dub this with some other drum to make it sound a bit more reverby. I don't know which one though. Like this one maybe. And then maybe some ride or hi-hat. This one, definitely. And I don't know if you saw that, but in the end of the loop, when I'd recorded it, I wasn't really happy with how hard I'd hit the drum. So I just let the loop run, and I hit it once again at the same time to kind of fill out the loop. Because if you just keep the looper running when you're recording, it's gonna record on top of whatever you've played and mix it together. So you can just keep adding stuff while it's recording on the next loop. I like this one. And I have another idea here as well. And I don't know if there's that much more we wanna do with this. Obviously, it would be nice in the future to be able to string these things together more into a full song. Right now, what I typically like to do is I like to use the group volumes to kind of control the flow of a song. So you can just like silence the drums for a bit to make a quiet part. And you can add something new to this quiet part without the drums. Kind of like that. So I'm gonna record it. Maybe a bit more echo. And that was longer than it needed to be. So I'm gonna record it at half the length. And you can kind of hear it way in the background here. Yeah, I think that's a song.
Nice.
Let's save that too,
Yeah.
so people can check it out.
But yeah, it's really interesting what you said with the groups and the volume. It's almost like playing another instrument.
Yeah. So let's call this Dev Stream Jam 2. set it to cloud and community and save. And yeah, right now, like playing the looper becomes, like you said, it becomes sort of like playing an instrument in itself. And we want to kind of expand on that. So instead, like we really want Virtuoso to be about like live creation and live performing music and just being in the flow. So not so much about sitting and tweaking a lot of parameters and like drawing in notes. There are like perfect programs to do that on any computer, and there are also a lot of other VR programs that are kind of exploring those things. So what we want to focus first on is the performance part of it. So we want to expand that for the looper as well, and sort of give you more ways to trigger loops, to stop loops, to control how they are stopped and triggered, and sort of how they're stitched together after each other, but doing that live, essentially. It's going to be a big project, but it's something that we're just now starting to work on properly. So we hope to have something to show you eventually, not before too long. That will kind of make it easier to stitch together full songs with the looper and with tools that are kind of associated to the looper. We could probably wrap up the stream now. It was great having you around and listening to me play for a bit and getting to talk a bit about Virtuoso with Olivia. So hope you're enjoying this latest patch that we have out. And yeah, thanks for us, I guess.
Yeah. We will, we'll see you in the Discord. We'll see you in the next stream.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in.